I looked at it and it seems like the Pepsiti is doing a bit of what Vitali kind of when he basically attacked an Indian man and calling him a predator for no apparent reason. Freaking moron. All right.
Oh, he's one of those, you're one of those tech Indians, smart ones, huh? You see Snapchat? No.
Ugh, I didn't want to see his face. I was hoping it'd be blurred out, but I guess Pepsiti doesn't care. Pepsiti, you're supposed to care. Oh my gosh. But I thought this was funny. I thought this was funny when he was being like genuinely, oh, you're a smart Indian. It's just like, I think he should have said, yes, I am. But the thing is, in the heat of the situation, you're approached by like a team of people and being called a predator. You're outnumbered. I mean, I can only imagine how he felt. Completely harassed.
Saw this video of this racist, degenerate criminal randomly clip farming an average Indian. It made me think about the things India is actually known for. When you package India as a cultural product to sell to the rest of the world, you usually end up with things like yoga and Bollywood, or you end up with propaganda if you're doing it for views and engagement on social media. And that's
Yep. No, it's not propaganda. It's money farming. That's what it is.
why people who have seen both the good and bad of India know that in today's world, the bad is highlighted far more than the good.
It really is so diverse.
I was absolutely bowled over by the colour, the noise, the people.
The diversity of the landscape.
They will talk about a cow dung celebration that happens in one small village nobody has ever heard of, as if it takes place all across the country. It's like using poop coffee to generalize an entire nation. No, seriously, have you heard of the poop coffee from Indonesia?
After eating and excreting coffee beans, once they are collected from the civet's poop,
Or the elephant poop coffee from Thailand? Have you heard of the sheep poop shitting festival?
Again, you couldn't pay me to drink that coffee. You couldn't pay me to drink that coffee, and it's considered a delicacy. I made my mistake of attempting to do delicacies like I did it with the balok, whatever it is. I wanted to try like, oh, delicacies. And then I remembered like after the fact, I was like, oh yeah, French people apparently don't know how to cook and they have snails as a delicacy. Who the heck eats snails? No offense to those in, what is it? Nagaland? They eat snails there, but again, I wouldn't know how to prepare them. I mean, throw some salt on, they melt. But yeah, I mean, you couldn't pay me to eat something like that, even though it's a delicacy, so it costs a fortune. It's like, no.
In Ireland, where participants have to put sheep poo in their mouths before spitting it out. Now, if I told you that this represents all of Ireland, you would call me a propagandist, and rightly so.
No, I don't think it'd be propagandist. I think it'd be just being hateful. Just being hateful, especially when you don't point out the fact that it is in the middle of nowhere, a small little rural community that does something like this. I think that is the worst thing. And seeing more of Tyler Ovaria's kind of work, he really likes to point out one side and never shows anything else. He really has a problem of trying to show positives of those communities there. He really does. He really has a negative connotation. He always wants to show only the rage bait, only the clickbait. He wants to get that. But the problem is he messed with India and ended up with a 1.4 billion people like unhappy with him.
But if it was India, it would instantly become another hit piece or meme. Because, well, that's the narrative that's been built. And yet, because the poop coffee is expensive, those same people will savor it like it came out of a rare black hole after the Big Bang. Being exposed to too much anti-India content can make you think that maybe India doesn't care about its global PR. Maybe it doesn't know how to tell its story to the world. Because like every country, India has its own problems. And criticizing the government and the system is completely justified. But why is the world suddenly so obsessed with India's problems specifically?
No, we are not going there. Nope. Wow. This is where I'm going, bro. This is gonna give me views.
Why don't we see good things?
Yeah, it's gonna get you views. It's called hate farming. There's nothing wrong with hate farming if that's what you want to do. It's a very it's not a long-lived type of, I mean, you can make it rich very quickly and then you can retire very quickly, but it doesn't have longevity. It does not have longevity.
online about a country that is recovering remarkably from the effects of colonization. And it shouldn't take another gazillion years to get things right.
India is rising much faster than you think. In just one decade, India has doubled its national highway network, significantly increased its nighttime luminosity, and have built a lot of airports. They now have some of the most modern airports in the world. Check out Delhi's airport, or Mumbai's airport, or Bangalore's airport. They also went from almost zero 5G to nationwide coverage in just 3 years.
Yeah, the best coverage in the world is in India. That's the thing. It's just like, again, I kind of miss when Pepsi used to always fast forward through the positive speakers of India. It used to be just completely fast forwarded through because, well, it's positive, so no one wants to hear it. But yeah, the fact that India had nothing, absolutely nothing. Britain took everything India had, left India on a war footing with itself because it forced the partition of India and Pakistan, completely separated them, so that immediately there was a war in the midst of Britain leaving, and and that's after the aftermath of World War II, when the Indian soldiers were forced to fight for the British. It's just so freaking crazy how far down it was, literally the bottom of the barrel, worst situation imaginable, and somehow is literally competing for the world power. It's on par with China, Russia, America. It's on par with the world powers of the world. It's literally there, and at its trajectory, it's going to surpass them. It's going to surpass them in technology, in like infrastructure, in because slowly but surely things change. Slowly but surely, like some states are incredibly clean, cleaner than most cities in the U.S. Like I think in Kerala, I think it's like massive infrastructure for cleanliness, like a complete overhaul. But yeah, it's just little by little, and it just within, it's not even been 80 years. It's not even been 80 years, I believe. And India's already competing with the world powers. When India used to be like the central naval hub of the world centuries ago. And now it's getting back to that point.
Oh, and we also can't forget that they landed on the moon with a budget of a Hollywood movie. They've had the fastest growing economy in the world.
An old Hollywood movie.
For the last decade, growing around 8% per year, and they've lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. India had a rough time from the 1950s to the early 2000s, and many people left India. And they did a great job. This is the median household income by ethnic group in the United States.
Soft power is how a country uses its culture, policies, and diplomacy to exert its influence. It basically means making someone want what you want without the use of any force. You attract them with your values, culture, entertainment, things like that. Japan and South Korea are great examples of countries that have used their soft power in the best possible way. But the greatest example of all is the United States. It has sold its story to the world so compellingly that living the American dream feels aspirational to millions. The movies, music,
yeah, that everyone wants to come here and somehow make it wealthy or make it big. I mean, that's not how it works. I mean, most Americans don't even have an American dream, don't even have a dream in general.
brands, and other tools of soft power it uses to influence the rest of the world are impossible to ignore. Yoga and Bollywood are great, but India needs to move beyond them and develop more soft power tools. Why? Because it has incredible potential. India has so much to offer to the world, yet it remains largely defined by just a few things: yoga, Bollywood, curry, and tech. That's because not enough effort is being made to tell the story the way it deserves to be told. And that's exactly why others are stealing India's soft power and rebranding it as their own. India is a whole different world in itself. The diversity here is unimaginable. Every region has its own cuisine, art forms, and stories. You can never run out of soft power assets in India. What makes this especially important today is that perception matters. What does the average Indian on the internet identify with? The racist memes? Even when they know their country has given the world some of its greatest ideas and contributions.
During a game or their image on screen in one of those Web 1.0 forums. Then in 2005, Nickelodeon published the hit animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender, in which the Avatar spirit is an entity that reincarnates within different humans throughout history, each one becoming the Avatar, an individual who maintains the world's balance and harmony. Then in 2009, James Cameron's movie Avatar was released, quickly becoming the highest-grossing movie of all time. In the movie, an avatar is a biologically engineered body that humans control remotely. These are all kind of conceptually related. An avatar refers to a person or entity being represented or embodied in a different form. me as a little cartoon figure, Sergeant Forgettable Name in a blue alien body, or the Avatar spirit.
I love how he uses Sergeant Forgettable Name. I don't even know. I never cared. That movie is like the start of the death of Hollywood. I honestly believe that. You look at everything else that came after that, all originality, everything was doomed, was absolutely doomed. And The Last Airbender is absolute peak animation, absolute enjoyable, perfect to watch. Toph was my favorite character. She was just enjoyable.
Inhabiting Aang. But while Avatar has only recently become a mainstream word in English, the concept is much, much older, deriving from Hindu scriptures thousands of years old. And while these pop culture avatars share some of the elements that we see in Hinduism, there are some key differences. The word avatar comes from the Sanskrit word avatara.
Avatar is just one of the many concepts that Indian culture has gifted to the world. These concepts are still being used in movies, music, and other forms of pop culture. But when it comes to the very place they originated from,
I love this movie. It is so awful. Again, out of all the Indiana Joneses, I think this one. Okay, out of the 3 real Indiana Jones films, the Last Crusade is my favorite. The Temple. This was the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones, and the Lost Ark. Is it the Lost Ark? But yeah, the Lost Ark is enjoyable. This one, the Temple of Doom, for me, it was okay. I think they should have stuck, and again, with the Crystal Skull, they should have stuck with Christianity as its focus. Because when they went into the 3 stones of Shiva and things like that, if you know nothing about anything, why try? Why try? Because literally the whole concept is he's trying to find the 3 stones of Shiva. It makes up a story as to, it was just like, what the heck? Like, for me, I thought the whole thing was made up. I thought everything was made up. And then my wife is Hindu. I start learning and I'm like, oh, is there any correlation? No. It's like, why? At least do some research. They did no research, absolutely no research. They're like, India? They probably well, Google probably wasn't a thing. They probably just found a Indian person working in the US, just like, India? Yes. God? Shiva. I was like, okay, enough information. That's probably how Steven Spielberg was like, you know what, or George Lucas were like, you know what, let's do this. This is how we're gonna do the story.
these same people portray it as a backward, uncivilized land.
Especially for Americans, especially Americans my age or my generation, easily the worst thing to ever happen was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. You know, because that film is so incredibly...
and the kid, the Asian kid, so racist. Oh.
The prejudice and just straight up, to use modern nomenclature, unwoke. You know, I've always wanted to say to Steven Spielberg, so Steven, if you're listening, I want to ask you a question, which is, why would you take easily one of the greatest cuisines in the world, Indian food, and make a mockery of it in that scene when they're eating dinner at the Maharaja's palace?
The monkey brain.
I've never understood that.
You use the culture, but you don't want to credit it. Why? Because crediting it would mean telling India's story. And that makes sense. Indians are supposed to tell their own stories. But what are they actually doing? They're still fighting over whose state is better, as if they all belong to different...
Yep. That's one of the biggest. That's one of the biggest problems. Like, oh, language. Oh, state. Oh, this. It's like India. Like, that's the thing. Like, I look at like the U.S. as a whole. Sure, I don't want to live in the state of California. Because I don't like clustered groups of people. But that's why. I don't like clustered groups of people. Alaska, Kansas, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, West Virginia, Iowa are more like isolated nothing states where no one's there. However, there are the places where everyone wants to go. California, Texas, New York, Florida, where everyone seems to congregate. Hawaii, everyone wants to move there because most people are social butterflies and they want to be around huge groups of people. People tend to cluster as a group. I'm not like that. I'm more of an isolationist. I like to be in like rural parts in the middle of nowhere. That's why I just don't care for California. My brothers love it here because they're more social butterflies. Me, not so much. But that's why. It's like I hate the, like, I would never go like, oh, you're like, when I was in Alaska and I was talking to people about, oh, I come from California, they're all like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, that was their response. I thought it was funny. But yeah, the fact that like there's state on state hatred or north and south, east and west language in India is just so confusing to me. So confusing. It's something I just don't understand. I just don't understand it.
Countries. Classic divide and rule strategy the British used so effectively. It's almost as if the rest of the world can see India's soft power potential more clearly than Indians themselves can.
I tried to make a film that would touch people's spirituality across a broad spectrum.
India's soft power also runs deep through its philosophy, and anyone who has engaged with even 1% of it knows it is anything but shallow. You might just end up learning Sanskrit and abandoning society's noise to meditate in the mountains, which ironically is the opposite of what soft power in this context demands, given how closely it is tied to materialism. But Indian philosophy can absolutely offer history, literature, stories, and countless other tools that, if used well, could be extraordinarily powerful. One such tool is the Ramayana. We have seen multiple adaptations of this epic over the years, and the most anticipated one is the upcoming Ramayana movie series, set to release this year. Fans across the world have placed enormous hope on this film,
At
which
the
is
end
being
of the
marketed
year.
with genuine global appeal. It will apparently be the most expensive Indian film ever made. If it performs well globally, it could be...
For power? No. I don't think the people are attacking each other, their neighbors, their state, for power. I really don't. I think it's for superiority. Honestly, it's for superiority. And yeah, politics. If you can play on someone's inferiority in order to win in politics, guess what? Everyone's losing. Everyone's losing. People need to be unified and not separated due to some kind of inferiority complex where they need to feel superior to their neighbor. That's the thing. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. Unpopular opinion, India needs to adapt the China method. Bring one-child policy, ban religion, and focus on infrastructure and employment. Yeah. I don't think religion has any place in politics. It doesn't. You should have your constitution, base it on some kind of morality, and then separate it from religion. It should be its own entity, so that way no religion can come forth and be like, well, my group of people, and I obviously with India having a separate law for a specific group of people is insane, and I think that's absolutely wrong, so I'm making fun of it. Well, we feel a little objectified and harassed by these laws. Can we get a specific law just for ourselves? Yeah, like, you don't want that. That's why it has to be separate. You can't have like, sure, the American Constitution was written with like the Christian moralities in it, but the church has no say in it. There should be a separation. That's why I don't think there should be a Hinduism party in India. There shouldn't be. There should just be a party that wants to make India strong, and then there should be a party that wants to make India weak. That's normally how it works.
Become a landmark soft power asset. It can draw people from around the world toward Indians in one culture. When it comes to Indian sports, cricket is the most prominent. I mean, India clearly dominates it. It's treated like a religion in India. The IPL is the richest cricket league in the world. But what about football? Why isn't there more investment in the game, given its unmatched global appeal? What about other sports? What about the Olympics? Why isn't Indian talent being nurtured and showcased on the world stage? And it's not as though Indian pop culture hasn't gone global before. There are many places around the world where you can still find devoted fans of Indian movies and music.
Did you know Russia loves Indian films? But why? Because of this song. Raj Kapoor is a superstar in Russia. The story begins in 1950s when Soviet Russia stopped producing films and they were fighting with America. So importing Hollywood films was not an option. But they loved Bollywood. Our films were simple, light-hearted romances, songs, dance numbers and whatnot. And that's why Raj Kapoor was a big star in Soviet Russia. In fact, when he went to Russia, there were thousands of fans who wanted to meet him. When he sat in a taxi, they literally lifted the taxi. I don't know whether this story is true or false, but it is true that movies like Anari and Mr. 420 were huge hits in Russia, and they remain cult classics even today.
Well, again, you Russia didn't, especially that point in time, Russia was just struggling with the Soviet Union and really wasn't able to make anything for themselves. So of course they'd be enjoying and there was a complete blanket ban on Hollywood films, of course. So they would be accepting films from other nations, and they had a closer tie with India. So of course they'd be taking in Indian films. It just makes sense that they'd become a cult classics there. Why? Because because Hollywood was a blanket ban, especially during the Cold War era. So yeah, that just makes sense. That just makes sense. Even though the USSR is no longer a thing, India is probably still praised as like a better enjoyment of entertainment, which especially now it is. It truly is. There isn't really much that comes from the West that's enjoyable. I mean, I think the only thing that came good out this year that I've absolutely truly enjoyed was the Hail Mary project. That was just great. But other than that, it's all been trash. But yeah, I mean, that's the only reason why, like I don't want to say like Russia's been making great films forever, which like Piazza, phenomenal film. But at the same time, there's a reason as to why they were consuming India's cinematography rather than the West, the Americas.
We love Indian cinema. I've already spoken about it. It's probably the only country in the world that, other than India, we have a separate channel that streams Indian movies days and nights.
And that brings me to Indian music, which has crazy potential to shape India's soft power. Despite having some of the most complex and beautiful musical traditions in the world and producing incredibly talented artists, Indian music receives nowhere near the global recognition it deserves. Why can't the next pop sensation come from India? Why do these artists have to limit themselves to audiences from their own country or community? The globalization of Korean pop culture didn't just benefit its artists and labels. It unlocked massive investment opportunities and entirely new markets. If India doesn't tell its own story, some culture chore will do it. And you'll just keep watching.
Fashion loves Indian aesthetics, but not giving the credit, and 2025 made that impossible to ignore. Indian artisans, craftsmanships, and textiles have been the backbone of major luxury houses for decades, but they were always the silent contributors. Their credit never followed the craft, but now we have creators like Rahul Mishra and Gaurav Gupta, consistently delivering some of the strongest couture collections at Paris. And I say this with no hesitation, they are among the best couturiers of this era. Not only do they make the Indian craftsmanship more visible by talking about it, but more importantly, they credit it like Farag, using 12th century hand block printing in modern silhouettes, Gully Labs using similar philosophy, making handmade sneakers, Archive City, staging one of the best collections built from upcycled pieces. I just hope global outlets begin platforming Indian creators directly instead of continuing the silent export of it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, especially now with everyone having the ability to document what they're doing. Why would a laborer who's been making these high-end, worth thousands of dollars products, make it, ship it, when they can literally just make it, record it, sell it? They no longer need to go through these third parties and get paid pennies on a dollar or get paid rupees on the core because, well, guess what? You're getting it all because you're the one manufacturing it. You're the one documenting it. You're the one that can actually reach the world because you got something smart in your pocket that you can literally record everything with and show. So I'm all for something like that. I'm for getting past, because a lot of the expensive clothes that people buy normally originates in India. It normally does. That's why I find it funny. Like people will spend tons of money when, for me, when I went to India, I had a jacket, like my favorite coat made, which I've worn once for my civil wedding here in the US. I wore it once, but it's my favorite jacket, and I had it made there for only like a couple $100s when it would have cost thousands if I would have gone through a retailer. And it was just, I got to speak to the people who were making it. I got to get size there. I got it all perfectly done for me. It was great, absolutely enjoyable experience for that. And the fact that, yes, it's better for them to actually sell it themselves than to have a third party take advantage of them.
In craftsmanship without credit.
The right use of soft power can place a country in a position of enormous advantage by transforming how it is perceived globally. In the past, India's incredible cultural output was a natural byproduct of its prosperity. It had abundant resources, enough not just to sustain its culture, but to let it flourish organically. It didn't even need to promote itself. The travelers did that job. From Megasthenes to Marco Polo, the world both respected and stood in awe of India. These are stories worth telling.
Before the West even dreamed of empires, one man already owned the continent. From the peaks of Afghanistan to the gold of Bengal, his armies didn't march, they devoured. Alexander chased the horizon. Ashoka owned it. Then came Kalinga, a land drowned in blood. The day the king's lion dropped its sword, It wasn't out of mercy. It was from terror. He hadn't seen enough death. He had simply seen the truth, that if he continued, the world itself would not just kneel, it would vanish into ash. Remember his name, the king who conquered the world, then destroyed his own will to conquer. Power isn't evil, but his mercy was the ultimate fear of a cursed man who realized he was too dangerous to live.
The present situation is nowhere near that, but progress is still possible. We've only touched on a few of the many assets that could amplify India's soft power potential. A nation is able to invest more deeply into these things like its culture once it becomes prosperous and developed, once it begins solving its most pressing problems. And
I love how he's the talking animals all the time. Eventually he'll do a face reveal. And then, yeah, it's over. But yeah, I mean, he's the talking horse, he's the talking cat.
Channels its energy into genuine, meaningful development. But none of these means anything if the people within the country have lost hope. The same people who made memes about the Galgotia incident aren't even talking about India's recent nuclear achievement. Soft power begins with perception, and perception begins at home. It is ultimately in your hands to shape how the world sees you, through the culture you create, the values you live by, and the stories you choose to tell.
I really like Pepsiti. I really do. I mean, he gets to the point. I mean, he reminds me of Sandman, but less trolly. Like Sandman's an absolute troll who just like he combats hatred with hatred. That's the kind of thing he does. But Pepsiti, he actually seems to be more grounded, be more optimistic, and just be happy with his nation. And that's the thing. I wouldn't call him a nationalist, but he has national pride. He's a patriot. He's a patriot. And I like that. I can always back patriots. Like, that's the funny thing. I don't care where someone is in the world, but if they're a patriot, I can sympathize with them. Like, I don't care if they're from China. I don't care if they're from Russia. I don't care if they're from India. I don't care if they're from Mexico. If they're a patriot and truly believe in like the greatness of their own nation, I can find commonality with them. Why? Because there is something to be said about those who can believe in a greatness in their own nation, even if it hasn't achieved it yet. They can still see the potential. They can still see the potential, and I'm all for that. I'm absolutely for that.
You guys get a video? So bad.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Why is like that?